Stop right where you are, chosen one. This is not a random video, this is a divine interruption. God woke me at exactly 3:33 this morning with an urgent warning about your new year that I cannot keep silent about. What's coming for you is not like anything you've experienced before. Chosen one, before I share what God revealed, if you feel a stirring in your spirit right now, like this message found you at the exact moment you needed it, hit subscribe immediately. The enemy is working overtime to disconnect you from the very confirmations heaven is sending. Don't let this divine appointment become another missed connection. I need you to understand something. The spiritual attacks you faced in these last months weren't random. They were calculated, strategic, targeted. The enemy doesn't waste resources on those who pose no threat. You've felt it, haven't you? The sudden heaviness that comes from nowhere. The unexpected betrayals from people you trusted. The strange roadblocks that appear right when you're about to break through. The isolation that makes no sense. These aren't coincidences. This is spiritual warfare against your next level. God showed me that many chosen ones are about to step into a supernatural convergence point where everything you've endured suddenly makes sense, where preparation meets purpose, where pain transforms into power. But here's the warning that made me tremble. Not everyone who stands beside you now is meant to cross over with you. Some relationships in your life were never assignments from God. They were assignments against you. People who appear supportive but secretly celebrate your struggles. People who pray with you but plot against you. People who know your potential and fear it. Heaven is exposing them now, not to hurt you, but to protect what God is about to release through you. The Lord said clearly, "Tell my chosen ones not to enter this new year casually. What I'm about to unlock requires spiritual vigilance." The enemy already knows your patterns. He's studied how you respond when you're tired. He's mapped your weaknesses when you feel alone. He's catalogued what distracts you when you feel delayed. And now, as your blessing season approaches, he's deploying everything he has to block your elevation. This is why relationships suddenly feel strained. This is why old wounds are mysteriously reopening. This is why familiar temptations are returning with unusual strength. God is allowing you to see what was hidden before your promotion arrives, because what you're stepping into cannot afford the weight of wrong connections. The midnight hour has struck in the spirit, and in this hour, God is calling you to a higher level of discernment before your destiny doors open. How do you know you're one of the chosen ones this message is for? The marks are unmistakable, and they've been with you since birth. You've always felt different, even in rooms full of people who look like you. There's a depth to your spirit others can't explain. A wisdom beyond your years, a sensitivity to things others can't perceive. You feel people's intentions before they speak them. You dream things before they happen. You sense shifts in the spiritual atmosphere when others notice nothing. These aren't coincidences, they're spiritual gifts. Divine markings. Evidence of your assignment. But these same gifts have made you a target. They're why you've faced opposition that makes no rational sense. Why people react strongly to your presence before you even speak. Why doors close for no apparent reason. Look at the pattern. Every major breakthrough in your life has been preceded by unusual attacks. Every elevation has triggered unexpected betrayal. Every new level has tested relationships you thought were solid. The enemy doesn't fight what isn't threatening. He doesn't attack what isn't powerful. He doesn't try to silence voices that carry no authority. The opposition confirms your anointing. God is highlighting 3 supernatural signs that are appearing now for true chosen ones. First, divine connections are forming that defy human explanation. People coming into your life who carry pieces of your purpose. Second, supernatural provision is appearing in places of previous lack resources, aligning precisely when needed. Third, spiritual discernment is sharper than ever, suddenly seeing through facades that fooled you for years. These marks are heaven's confirmation that you're being positioned for something extraordinary. Your spiritual DNA is activating for a purpose bigger than anything you've imagined. But remember, with every new level of power comes a new level of responsibility. What protected you at previous levels won't be sufficient for where God is taking you. This new season demands new spiritual habits, new boundaries, and most importantly, new courage to stand alone when necessary. Chosen one. What you're experiencing right now is not abandonment, it's divine preparation. The sudden losses, the inexplicable closed doors, the painful isolation, the relationships that dissolved without warning, the opportunities that vanished when you were most qualified. This is your wilderness season, the sacred training ground where God shapes his most trusted vessels. Look at every great biblical figure: Joseph, David, Moses, even Jesus himself. Before their greatest impact came their deepest isolation. Before their public victories came private battles nobody witnessed. Before their elevation came their elimination from comfortable places. The wilderness isn't punishment, it's preparation. Your enemies think they've sidelined you. People who rejected you believe they've diminished you. Those who walked away assumed you would break. But what they meant for harm, God is using to strengthen your spiritual muscles for what's coming. In this wilderness, God is teaching you to hear his voice when every other voice is silent. He's showing you how to find water in dry places. He's training your spiritual senses to detect both danger and opportunity. The attacks you're facing aren't random. They're targeted at specific gifts God placed within you. The opposition isn't fighting who you are today. They're fighting who you're becoming tomorrow. And here's what the enemy doesn't want you to realize. Your greatest breakthrough is being shaped in this very wilderness. Moses spent 40 years in obscurity before leading an exodus. Joseph spent years forgotten in prison before saving nations. David was hunted in caves before taking his throne. Your wilderness isn't punishment, it's proof of your calling. God allows seasons of isolation because certain anointings can only be developed in seclusion. Certain revelations can only be received in silence. Certain strengths can only be built through struggle. When you emerge from this wilderness, and you will emerge, you'll carry an authority that cannot be challenged, a discernment that cannot be deceived, and a strength that cannot be broken. This preparation isn't pleasant, but it is purposeful. The very gifts being tested now are exactly what your destiny requires tomorrow. What if I told you that your struggles aren't just spiritual, they're strategic? That the opposition you face isn't random, but coordinated? God is revealing that many chosen ones are facing what I can only describe as a council of shadows, a coordinated spiritual assignment against your purpose. Not everyone attacking you knows they're being used. Some are simply responding to the light they sense in you. Others are acting out of their own wounds. But behind it all exists a calculated effort to prevent your awakening. Why? Because your purpose threatens established darkness. The betrayal by that close friend wasn't just emotional pain, it was a strategic strike against your trust. The rejection by family wasn't just painful, it was designed to silence your voice. The sudden conflict in relationships wasn't coincidental, it was time to distract you from your assignment. God is pulling back the curtain to show you. These aren't separate incidents, but connected attacks with a single purpose: to keep you from your throne. The intensity of opposition reveals the significance of your calling. Notice how the attacks increased when you started praying more earnestly, how relationships grew tense when you became more obedient, how strange obstacles appeared precisely when you gained clarity. This is spiritual warfare with physical manifestations. But now, God is exposing what was hidden, so you can fight with understanding instead of confusion. So you can recognize when people are being influenced rather than taking every attack personally. The greatest deception was convincing you that you were fighting people when you were really fighting principalities, that you were experiencing bad luck when you were experiencing targeted warfare. As your spiritual eyes open, you'll recognize the patterns. You'll discern when conversations are traps. You'll sense when opportunities are distractions. You'll know when relationships are assignments. This revelation isn't to make you fearful, but strategic. Not paranoid, but prepared. The Council of Shadows doesn't fear who you are. They fear who you're becoming when fully awakened to your purpose. There's a supernatural encounter waiting for you that few believers understand: a divine courtroom where your case is being heard right now. While you sleep, accusations are being made against your destiny. While you struggle, papers are being filed against your purpose. While you doubt, witnesses are being called against your future. This isn't imagination, it's spiritual reality. The unexplained guilt you sometimes feel, those moments of overwhelming shame that come from nowhere, the persistent thoughts that you're not worthy of your calling, these aren't just emotions, they're evidence of a case being built against you. But God is revealing something powerful. You have an advocate who has never lost a case. The attacks against you require a legal response in the spirit realm. The slander spoken over you demands divine justice. The rights stolen from you need heavenly restoration. Right now, God is calling you to stand in this divine courtroom, not as a victim, but as a witness to your own deliverance. When Moses faced Pharaoh, it wasn't just a confrontation, it was a legal showdown between kingdoms. When David confronted Goliath, it wasn't just a battle, it was a legal transfer of authority. When Jesus went to the cross, it wasn't just a sacrifice, it was a legal transaction that changed humanity's status forever. Your breakthrough isn't just spiritual, it's legal in the courts of heaven. The enemy has overplayed his hand against you. He's violated the terms of engagement. He's attacked areas that were divinely protected. And now, heaven's gavel is about to fall in your favor. The rejection wasn't because you weren't good enough. It was because something illegitimate recognized something authentic in you and feared it. The betrayal wasn't because you weren't loyal enough. It was because your destiny threatened someone else's comfort. The delay wasn't because you weren't worthy enough. It was because your timing is connected to a bigger kingdom movement. In this divine courtroom, God is issuing new decrees over your life. Where there was delay, acceleration is being granted. Where there was confusion, clarity is being released. Where there was bondage, freedom is being declared. The cases built against you are being dismissed. The accusations leveraged against you are being silenced. The verdicts spoken over you are being overturned. Listen, I know you're watching quietly, just taking everything in, but chosen ones like you don't come across these messages by accident. If this is touching your soul, hit that subscribe button. Don't keep walking through spiritual warfare alone when a whole family of chosen ones is right here with you. There are divine secrets reserved specifically for you that have been kept hidden until this appointed time. Remember how Joseph could interpret dreams when no one else could, how Daniel understood visions that baffled the wise men of Babylon, how John saw revelations on Patmos that were sealed for generations. You carry similar gifts, spiritual capacities that have been dormant, waiting for activation. The unusual dreams you've had since childhood, they weren't random, they were glimpses into your prophetic capacity. The strange knowing you sometimes feel about situations or people. It's not coincidence, it's spiritual discernment being awakened. The creative ideas that come to you, fully formed, they're not just thoughts, they're downloads from heaven's strategy room. God is revealing that you are a keeper of divine secrets, trusted with revelations, meant for this specific moment in history. These gifts have remained partially hidden for your protection. If the enemy had known what you carry, the opposition would have been even greater. If people around you had recognized your true capacity, the jealousy would have been unbearable. But now, as you've proven faithful through trials, heaven is releasing the seals on these hidden abilities. Watch for these signs of activation. Sudden understanding of spiritual matters that previously confused you. Dreams that contain strategies, not just symbols. Insights into people's true motives and intentions. Solutions to problems that seem to appear in your mind, fully developed. This awakening comes with responsibility. Not everything revealed to you is meant to be shared immediately. Some revelations are for intercession before demonstration. Some insights are for preparation before proclamation. Your integrity with these spiritual secrets determines your capacity for greater revelation. How you steward what's being unveiled now directly impacts what will be entrusted to you next. The timing of this activation is not random, it's strategic. You're being equipped precisely for the battles that lie ahead. The very gifts emerging now are exactly what your divine assignments will require. As your spiritual awakening intensifies, so does the enemy's strategy against you. The next level of warfare isn't just attacks, it's confusion. Not just opposition, but deception. God is revealing that many chosen ones are entering a season where false voices will compete for your attention and obedience. Not everyone speaking spiritual language carries spiritual authority. Not every prophetic word comes from a prophetic heart. When your discernment rises, counterfeit voices appear because the enemy can't stop what's genuine, so he sends what's false. These false prophets won't always look threatening. They'll speak partial truths mixed with subtle lies. They'll use familiar language while delivering unfamiliar direction. They'll quote scripture while contradicting God's character. Their messages will seem almost right, yet something in your spirit will feel unsettled. This is the test of true discernment. Not just recognizing what's completely wrong, but detecting what's almost right. Watch for these warning signs, messages that constantly flatter without challenging, words that feed your ego instead of your spirit, direction that pulls you away from confirmed purposes, guidance that isolates you from true accountability. Many false voices will come through unexpected channels, sometimes even through people you've trusted. This isn't just to deceive you, but to publicly discredit you. The enemy knows that if he can't stop you privately, he'll try to silence you publicly. If he can't block your progress, he'll attack your reputation. You may face moments of public questioning, humiliation designed to make you doubt your calling, or embarrassment meant to make you retreat into silence. But God says, what was meant to silence you will become your loudest testimony. The very public attacks designed to discredit you will become public platforms for divine vindication. The attempts to shame you will showcase heaven's defense of you. Your response in these moments matters deeply. Defending yourself delays divine vindication. Fighting for your reputation postpones heaven's intervention. Your silence isn't weakness, it's strategic positioning for supernatural defense. There is a sacred darkness every chosen one must pass through, a night of weeping that precedes your greatest morning of joy. This night comes not as punishment, but as necessary preparation for unshakable faith, not as abandonment, but as intimate training for unimaginable authority. In this night, everything that can be shaken will be shaken. Everything that can be questioned will be questioned. Everything that can be tested will be tested. You may lose what you thought you couldn't live without. Relationships that seemed essential may dissolve. Dreams you cherished may appear to die. Promises you clung to may seem forgotten. Even your sense of God's presence, that constant companion through previous trials, may suddenly feel distant. This night of weeping is the final frontier between your preparation and your purpose. The last threshold between your testing and your testimony. The final purification before your promotion. In this darkness, your greatest temptation will be to believe you've been abandoned, to conclude that your calling was imagination, to decide that your suffering has no purpose, to return to what's familiar rather than press toward what's promised. Every great vessel in Scripture faced this night. David wrote from this darkness, "My God, why have you forsaken me?" Elijah experienced it under the juniper tree, asking to die. Jesus himself entered this darkness in Gethsemane, sweating blood. What makes this night so agonizing is its apparent purposelessness. Previous trials made sense. They built character, taught lessons, revealed weaknesses. But this darkness seems pointless, excessive, even cruel. This is the final test of surrender. Will you trust when you cannot trace? Will you believe when you cannot see? Will you remain faithful when feelings fail? The enemy's greatest hope is that you'll interpret this darkness as rejection rather than refinement, that you'll see it as punishment rather than preparation, that you'll experience it as defeat rather than development. But in your darkest hour, when surrender seems the only option left, unexpected light will break through. Just as Jacob wrestled until dawn and received both a wound and a blessing, you will emerge from this night permanently changed. The breakthrough won't come because the battle eased, but because your surrender became complete. This night of weeping carries a divine promise. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And the morning is closer than you think. After the night of weeping comes a divine connection that will change everything. God is revealing that you are not meant to stand alone in this final hour. Across the earth, other chosen ones have been prepared in hidden places, just like you. They've endured similar trials, faced comparable opposition, and developed matching spiritual gifts, all in isolation, all wondering if they were the only ones. But now, heaven's strategic connections are forming, divine alignments that no human could orchestrate. Watch for these supernatural introductions. People who understand your calling without explanation. Connections that form instantly, as if you've known each other forever. Relationships that multiply your strength rather than drain it. alliances that confirm revelations you've received in private. These aren't casual friendships, they're kingdom partnerships with divine purpose. Each person carries a piece of the strategy you need. Each one holds a key that unlocks something in you. What one lacks, another supplies. Where one is weak, another is strong. Together, you form a complete picture of heaven's intention for this hour. The enemy has worked overtime to keep you isolated because he fears what happens when true chosen ones unite in purpose. He knows that while one can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight. This alignment isn't just for comfort, it's for conquest. Not just for healing, but for war. God is revealing that the attacks against light-bearers aren't isolated incidents, but coordinated assaults. What you've faced alone is part of a larger strategy against an entire generation of carriers of divine fire. But now, as you connect with others who share your calling, heaven is releasing battle plans that can only be executed together. Strategies that require combined gifts, revelations that need mutual confirmation, movements that demand unified action. This sacred alliance isn't built on personality or preference, but on purpose and purity. Not on convenience, but on covenant. Not just on shared interests, but on shared assignments. Your darkest seasons prepared you for this divine connection. Your wilderness built the character needed for true spiritual partnership. Your testing developed the discernment required for authentic alliance. There are supernatural seals that have kept certain blessings, connections, opportunities, and revelations locked away until this precise moment in your journey. Not because you weren't worthy before, not because God was withholding, but because both you and the season had to be perfectly prepared. What you're about to experience is supernatural acceleration, where years of delay are overcome in moments of divine intervention, where doors that remained firmly shut suddenly swing wide open, where paths that seemed permanently blocked clear overnight. This acceleration isn't random. It's the breaking of prophetic seals at their appointed time. In the spirit realm, there are markers and timestamps on certain blessings, promises with precise release dates, breakthroughs with specific timing, promotions with divine scheduling. The frustrating delays weren't denial, they were divine timing. The painful waiting wasn't punishment, it was protection. The seasons of silence weren't absence, they were alignment. Now, as these seals break open, watch for these signs of acceleration. Long-standing blockages suddenly dissolving without human effort. Favor appearing in places of previous resistance. Divine connections forming with unexpected speed. Resources arriving from unexpected sources. This breaking of seals also brings exposure, revelation of what was hidden and who was hiding. People operating with secret agendas will suddenly be unable to conceal their true motives. Opposition that worked in darkness will be forced into light. Not to hurt you, but to heal you. Not to discourage you, but to deliver you. Not to distract you, but to direct you. The very resources, relationships, and revelations that were reserved for this moment are now being released to you. Provision that was protected until you had the character to steward it. Connections that were guarded until you had the wisdom to nurture them. Authority that was withheld until you had the maturity to wield it. What seemed like heaven's silence was actually heaven's preparation for this precise moment of breaking seals. Stop right here. If you haven't subscribed yet, ask yourself why. Every time you search for clarity, every time you feel overwhelmed, God guides you to messages like this. Don't reject what heaven is trying to give you. Subscribe so you stay connected to the voice that lifts you when no one else does. Every chosen one eventually faces a sacred crossroads, a divine moment where heaven asks for everything. This valley of decision isn't just another challenge. It's the defining threshold between your old life and your true destiny, between comfort and calling, between security and supernatural purpose. In this valley, God will ask you to release what you've clung to surrender what feels safe, to let go of what makes sense, to embrace what only faith can see. For Abraham, it was leaving his homeland for an unseen promise. For Moses, it was abandoning palace security for wilderness purpose. For Esther, it was risking her life to fulfill her destiny. For Mary, it was accepting social rejection to carry divine purpose. Now it's your turn to stand in this valley of decision. The choice before you will rarely appear logical. It will seldom make practical sense. It may even seem foolish to those watching your life. But in the spirit realm, this decision determines everything that follows. What makes this valley so difficult is what it costs. Certain relationships cannot cross over with you into your next season. Certain comforts must be left behind. Certain identities need to die for new ones to emerge. You may lose people you thought would stay forever. You may sacrifice positions that once defined you. You may surrender dreams you've cherished for years. This valley strips away everything but pure trust. It removes every crutch, every backup plan, every safety net, until you stand with nothing but naked faith in God's character. The enemy will use every weapon to influence this decision: fear of the unknown, comfort of the familiar, voices of those who won't understand, logic that contradicts faith, past failures that haunt your confidence. But in this valley, when everything seems lost, supernatural provision appears. Not before you step out in faith, but as you move forward in obedience. The resources you need, the strength you lack, the clarity you seek, the courage you require. They don't arrive before the decision, but after the surrender. This valley isn't punishment, it's the final preparation for glory. The ultimate exchange, your limited vision for God's unlimited purpose. Your temporary comfort for eternal impact, your human timeline for divine destiny. After the valley of decision comes what seems impossible to those who witnessed your struggles: sudden, undeniable elevation. This isn't gradual improvement, not slow progress, not quiet advancement. This is supernatural promotion that confounds your critics and confirms your calling. Visible vindication that silences those who doubted. Public restoration that establishes divine purpose. After Joseph endured slavery and prison came one day of promotion to prime minister. After David survived years as a fugitive came one moment of coronation as king. After Esther risked everything came overnight elevation to history maker. Your elevation will follow the same divine pattern. What took years to prepare will manifest in a moment. This promotion isn't just positional, it's spiritual. Not just external change, but internal transformation. Not just new opportunities, but new authority. What you carried privately in the wilderness will now function publicly on the platform. The gifts tested in secret will now operate openly before witnesses. The character forged in darkness will now shine in the light. Those who mocked will fall silent. Those who rejected will reconsider. Those who opposed will withdraw, not because you defended yourself, but because heaven vindicated you. Not because you fought for position, but because God established your purpose. Not because you proved your worth, but because divine timing arrived. This elevation carries three distinct markers. First, supernatural doors open that no human effort could arrange, connections, opportunities, and platforms previously inaccessible. Second, divine credibility appears where credibility was questioned, sudden recognition of your voice, value, and vision. Third, kingdom authority transfers to accomplish specific assignments, influence aligned perfectly with heaven's agenda for this hour. This isn't promotion for personal gain or private ambition. It's strategic positioning for kingdom impact. Every open door, every new connection, every expanded platform serves a divine purpose larger than personal success. The authority being transferred to you isn't for domination, but for transformation. Not to control, but to liberate. Not to build personal kingdoms, but to establish heaven's influence. This elevation isn't the destination. It's the launching point for your true assignment. Not the reward for past faithfulness, but the responsibility for future impact. There comes a sacred moment in every chosen one's journey where tears become testimony, where suffering transforms into supernatural authority, where pain becomes your most powerful ministry. God is revealing that the season of tears you endured wasn't wasted. It was watering seeds of promise that are now ready to break through the surface of your life. The ancient promise remains true. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Every tear you cried in secret, every prayer that seemed unanswered, every night you questioned your calling, every moment you felt forgotten, none of it was lost. None of it was overlooked. None of it was without purpose. Heaven was collecting those tears as seeds for this very harvest. What the enemy meant to destroy you will become the foundation of your greatest impact. The very experiences designed to break you will become bridges to healing for others. The unique pain you endured will give you unique authority to minister in specific areas. Watch as seemingly impossible promises suddenly manifest. The dream you nearly abandoned shows signs of life. The word that seemed forgotten suddenly accelerates. The purpose that appeared dead unexpectedly resurrects. This harvest comes with supernatural confirmation that divine timing was perfect all along. What looked like cruel delay reveals itself as loving protection. What felt like abandonment emerges as strategic positioning. Had your breakthrough come earlier, you wouldn't have been prepared to steward it. Had your elevation happened sooner, certain character flaws would have sabotaged it. Had your platform expanded before now, your message wouldn't have carried the depth it now contains. The timing wasn't punishment, it was perfection. Now, in this harvest season, restoration comes multiplied. What was stolen returns sevenfold. What was broken restores stronger. What was delayed arrives with compound interest. The Bible promises, "I will restore to you the years that the locust has eaten." This isn't just about getting back what you lost. It's about receiving what your suffering has earned. Not just recovering, but advancing. Not just healing, but harvesting. Your tears were not just expressions of pain, they were investments in power. Something profound happens when a chosen one steps fully into their true identity. The veil between who they appeared to be and who they were created to be finally lifts. This unveiling isn't just revelation, it's transformation. Not just information, but manifestation. Not just knowing your purpose, but becoming your purpose. The prophet Jeremiah heard, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart." This divine blueprint has always existed. Your true identity has always been written in heaven's records. Your authentic purpose has always been encoded in your spiritual DNA. But layers of false identity covered it. Labels others placed on you. Limitations you accepted about yourself. Lies you believed about your value. Fears that defined your boundaries. Now, as these layers fall away, you're not becoming someone new, you're being unveiled as who you've always been in God's eyes. This unveiling releases spiritual authority that literally transforms environments. When you enter rooms, atmospheres shift. When you speak, spiritual climates change. When you pray, invisible forces respond, not because of your strength, but because of your alignment. Not because of your perfection, but because of your surrender. Not because of your ability, but because of your authenticity. This authority isn't just personal, it's generational. As you step into your true identity, you break cycles that limited your ancestors. Patterns of defeat, addiction, poverty, and dysfunction that passed from generation to generation suddenly stop with you. What your parents couldn't overcome, you will conquer. What your grandparents couldn't break, you will shatter. What your family line couldn't escape, you will transform. This isn't just healing for you, it's healing for your entire bloodline. Not just freedom for your present, but redemption of your past and protection for your future. Through your unveiling, a new spiritual inheritance is established. What you overcome will never again have the same power over your descendants. The battles you win create victories your children will build upon, rather than fights they must refight. The generations after you will start where you finish, not where you started. They will build on your breakthroughs, rather than repeat your struggles. This unveiling isn't just for your glory, it's for God's purpose in your generation. Not just for personal fulfillment, but for kingdom advancement. Every journey of a chosen one culminates in a sacred moment, a divine encounter that finalizes your preparation and launches your true assignment. This isn't just another spiritual experience. This is your throne room commission, where heaven officially confirms what was whispered to your spirit from the beginning. Moses had his burning bush. Isaiah had his coal-touched lips. Paul had his Damascus road. John had his Patmos revelation. Now you stand at the threshold of your divine commission. In this sacred encounter, three things happen simultaneously. First, supernatural wisdom downloads that surpasses human understanding. Not just information, but divine intelligence. Not just knowledge, but heavenly perspective. Questions that haunted you suddenly answer themselves. Confusion that followed you instantly clears. This wisdom isn't learned, it's imparted. It arrives complete, fully formed, and ready for implementation. Strategies for problems you haven't yet faced. Solutions for challenges still on the horizon. Understanding of spiritual principles that previously mystified you. Second, your full kingdom assignment crystallizes with unmistakable clarity. The fragments of purpose you glimpsed through years of preparation suddenly form a complete picture. The disconnected pieces of your journey reveal their perfect design. You finally see that nothing was wasted. No detour was accidental. No delay was purposeless. Every experience, painful and pleasant, was intentional preparation for this precise assignment. Third, heaven releases the promise of divine partnership for the coming season. You will not walk alone. You will not serve in your own strength. You will not fight with human resources. Angels are assigned to your purpose. Divine connections align with your vision. Supernatural provision attaches to your obedience. This commission was prepared before your birth. Your name was written on this assignment before you drew your first breath. Your divine purpose was established before your parents met. Jeremiah heard, "Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you." David realized, "All the days ordained for me were written in your book before one of them came to be." Paul understood, "God set me apart from my mother's womb." This throne room commission isn't a promotion. It's a revelation of who you've always been in God's eyes. The struggles that seemed random now reveal themselves as strategic training. The pain that felt pointless now shows itself as purposeful equipping. The delays that appeared cruel now unveil themselves as divine timing. Your commission isn't just personal assignment, it's kingdom advancement. Not just individual purpose, but generational impact. Not just temporal success, but eternal significance. Before you go, chosen one, don't forget, the fact that you made it to the end of this message means something. Your spirit needed this. Don't walk away without subscribing. It costs nothing, but it means everything for the journey God is taking you on. Join the family. Your breakthrough might be in the next video.